Good morning, students. Today we will discuss a poem by Edwin Thumboo. The title of the poem is Ulysses by the Merlion. This is prescribed for optional English students, final year, paper 9. Edwin Thumboo was a Singaporean poet. His poetry is inspired by myth and history. He is often dubbed as Singapore's unofficial poet laureate. His poems have nationalist themes. Ulysses by the Merlion was published in the year 1979. The name of the title of the anthology was also Ulysses by the Merlion. In order to understand this poem better, we need to have a little bit of background about Merlion and also Ulysses. Let us begin with Merlion. Merlion is the symbol of or the mascot used for Singapore tourism. In the poem, Edwin Thumboo uses it as a symbol of nationalism. Merlion, as you can see from the picture, is half lion and half fish. It is somewhat similar to mermaid. We all have seen pictures of mermaid. It is half woman, half fish. Mermaids also sing very beautiful songs and divert the attention of sailors who travel in the sea. Merlion is an iconic statue of a beast with the upper body of a lion and the tail of a fish. Merlion, the picture or the statue was inspired by the poetry of Irish poet W.B. Yeats. This poet W.B. Yeats is supposed to have asserted a significant influence on Thumboo. Thumboo felt that the Irish freedom struggle is somewhat similar to Singapore's breakaway from colonialism. So, in Thumboo's opinion, both Ireland and Singapore seem to have the same kind of history. Edwin Thumboo describes himself as a myth-inspired poet. Myth is a traditional story. Usually, it tells us about the origin of something or the background, historical background to how something came into being. Thumboo sees myths as ancient narratives and structures which provide a stable point of reference for a multicultural society. Singapore, being a place inhabited by people belonging to various cultures and traditions, have to have a common background. Edwin Thumboo felt it was necessary to have myths. So he felt they were important. History also features strongly in Thumboo's poetry. Coming to the other term, Ulysses, you can see a picture of Ulysses here. Ulysses was a legendary Greek hero. He was also known as Odysseus. Ulysses and Odysseus are the same person. He was in Greece, he was known as Odysseus, and in Rome he was known as Ulysses. There are several works inspired by the life and adventure of Ulysses. Homer's epics, Odysseus and Iliad are based on the life and adventure of Ulysses. He was part of the war that took place against Troy. He was an active participant in it. The war was fought by Greeks against Troy to bring back Helen, who was kidnapped kidnapped by Paris, the prince of Troy. Ulysses is a legendary Greek king of Ithaca. He is the hero of Homer's epic poem Odyssey. Not only Homer's work, several centuries later, even Tennyson has written a poem on Odyssey, Ulysses, and I hope you have read that poem. Odysseus or Ulysses is renowned for his intellectual brilliance, guile, and versatility. And the War of Troy is supposed to have taken 10 years. Only after 10 years of fighting, the Greeks were successful in defeating Troy. And after the victory over Troy, Ulysses and his companions had to return to their homeland in Ithaca. It took again 10 years for them to reach this place, and this whole journey of coming home or homecoming was full of adventures. Ulysses had several kind of exotic experiences throughout his journey, and that journey has given a lot of material for the writers from time immemorial. In Greek mythology, the Trojan War was waged against the city of Troy by the Greeks after Paris of Troy took Helen from her husband Menelaus, king of Sparta. The war is one of the most important events in Greek mythology and has been narrated through many works of Greek literature. Now, with this background about Ulysses and Merlion, we will look at the poem in detail. Now, I hope it is clear that Ulysses is a legendary hero, a Greek hero who fought against Troy to bring back Helen, who was kidnapped by Paris, the prince of Troy. And his life, his journey has been one full of adventures. So he in his journey would have seen many places and creatures. He was successful in defeating them, overcoming all the obstacles. His journey was not only a pleasurable one, but it was full of hardships. So here Edwin Thumboo begins the poem by telling us about Ulysses' journey. Now, in his travels, he has reached Singapore also. The poem begins like this: I have sailed many seas, skirted islands of fire, contented with sirs who loved the squeal of pigs. Now, the persona or the character, the speaker is Ulysses here. He talks about his several journeys that he has taken place. He has done. He has traveled to many parts of the world. He has sailed across many seas. He has seen many islands inhabited by wondrous creatures. He says he had a fight with a particular character by name Circe, who loved the sound made by pigs. Squeal is the sound of pigs. Now, let us see who Circe was. Circe, as you can see in the picture, was a lady. She was a sorceress or somebody who performed black magic. In the Greek legend, he was a sorceress. She was able by means of drugs and incantations to change humans into wolves, lions, and swine. The Circe had some magical powers. She could, with the help of those medicine she had, and also the mantra incantation is saying mantras. With those, she could change human beings into pigs. In the picture, you can see Circe surrounded by some pigs. So Ulysses had a fight with this lady also. Her medicine, her magical citations did not have any effect on Ulysses because he was more powerful than her. In the next line we read, past Scylla and Charybdis. Now if you can see in the picture, there is a monster on one side with 6 heads and a whirlpool on the other side. It is somewhat similar to the saying between a devil and the deep sea. Both are equally dangerous. This is in fact past Scylla and Charybdis is in fact used every day or everywhere as between the devil and deep sea. When you have two equally unpleasant alternatives, we can use this kind of saying. In classical mythology, Scylla was a horrible 6-headed monster who lived on a rock on one side of a narrow strait. So Scylla is a monster, 6-headed, very dangerous monster who lived on a very narrow path in the sea, and nearby there is this whirlpool, Charybdis. So if you want to escape from the monster, you will fall into the whirlpool. If you want to avoid the whirlpool, you will be eaten by Scylla. So it is a very dangerous situation. So even in such situation, Ulysses was successful. When ships passed close to Scylla's rock, in order to avoid Charybdis, she would seize and devour their sailors. And so such dangerous situations were also faced by Ulysses very easily during his journeys. To 7 years with Calypso. So here you have the picture of a beautiful lady. She was a goddess or a nymph from the mythical island of Oggia. On his journey back home, which took him 10 years, Ulysses spent 7 years of his life with Calypso. She entertained Ulysses for 7 years, but she was not successful in keeping him with her because Ulysses always wanted to go home. He was homesick. He wanted to reach Ithaca somehow. So he would not stay with Calypso any longer than 7 years. She even promised him immortality. Even then, he did not want to stay with her after 7 years because his homeland was, the one thing which he longed to reach. Let us continue with the poem. In the next few lines you read, heaved in battle against the gods, beneath it all, I kept faith with Ithaca, travelled and travelled and travelled. So, describing his journey of 10 long years, Ulysses tells us that he had to fight battles against gods gods and goddesses. They were all troublemakers. There are, in Greek mythology, we know there are sea gods, there are nymphs who live in land and on trees. So they all posed problems for Ulysses. He had to fight against them, but he was successful in all those difficulties, and finally to reach his homeland, that is Ithaca, he traveled and traveled. So suffering much, enjoying a little. So his journey was full of sufferings, and once in a while there was happiness also. Met strange people singing new myths, made myths myself. So all along his journey he had met things strange, people of different origins, belonging to different places. He could see exotic things all over his journey. So he would also listen to many stories and make stories himself. But when he reached Singapore, this lion of the sea, salt-maned, scaly, wondrous of tail, touched with power, insistent on this brief promontory puzzles. But when he reached Singapore, he was astonished by this merlion, the body of the lion, and the fish of the half lion and half fish. So he was astonished by this lion of the sea. It belonged to the sea. Salt maned means part of it belongs to sea, and the other part belongs to the land. So it can live both in land and water. When you look at the lines once again, mane is the hair surrounding the head of the lion. So half of it is lion, and the other portion, scale and tail, all that is referring to the fish, touched with power. So lion is very powerful, and it in a way symbolizes the unique characteristic of Singapore as a nation. It has the capability to develop into one of the powerful states of the world. So that is what he means by it. Nothing in my days foreshadowed this. Half beast, half fish, this powerful creature of land and sea. So Ulysses says that in all of his journeys, he has never seen this kind of a sight. Though he has seen many things, experienced different kinds of things in his life, he has not seen anything like this one. So nothing has been so powerful and so admirable and so beautiful as this particular merlion. People settled here, brought to this island, built towers topless as enemas. They make, they serve, they buy, they sell. So he is talking about Singapore. People have come from all over the world and settled here. There are native people also. There are the native inhabitants of Singapore. Along with them, there are the others who have come from different parts of the world, and they have made Singapore their home. they have they are responsible for the progress of this place. They have built high towers, great buildings here. Wonders of architecture and engineering has been built in this place. They also indulge in business, commercial activities, and produce things. They serve, they make, they buy, they sell. All of these terms refer to the industrial commercial activities of Singapore. Despite unequal ways, together they mutate. All the people of Singapore, they are of different origins. They belong to different culture and traditions. Though they are different, when you look at them, they live together happily here. There is unity in diversity, just like India. Explore the edges of harmony, searched for a center. They live in a very harmonious or peaceful manner in this land. They live as if they are all one, have changed their gods, kept some memories of their past. So the people who have come from different part of the world have brought their own cultures and traditions, religious beliefs from wherever they have come from. But after coming here, they have lived here along with others in a very harmonious manner. So there is old memories, there is past as well as present. So the mixture of past as well as present gives birth to another new tradition. In prayer, laughter, the way they hold the bright, the beautiful, good ancestral dreams within new visions, so shining, urgent, full of what is new. So they have their customs and traditions. They have taken the best out of whatever they have brought from their own places, and they have found new things here. So in Singapore, you can see a mixture of both past and present, which has given to a hyper culture. Perhaps having dealt in things surfeited on them, their spirit yearned again for images, adding to the dragon, phoenix, Garuda, Naga, those horses of the sun. From their original countries, from their original places, they have brought their images. For example, in Singapore, there are people from Chinese origin, there are people from Egypt, there are people from Italy or Thailand or other parts of the world. They have brought their religions along with them, and from after settling down in Singapore, they wanted one particular thing which would stand as a symbol or identity for them, and this lion of the sea, that is the Merlion, is a common image or a common symbol for them to tell them that they are all one, they are Singaporean. So Merlion is a symbol or a national symbol for them, even though they have individual places or images, idols of worship. This image of themselves, the Ulysses of Tambo, this poem is highly similar to that of Tennyson. In the beginning of this lesson, I have mentioned that several poems, stories, as well as epics are written on this legendary hero Ulysses. In Edwin Tambo's poem, we can see, we can compare it, the poem can be compared to another poem by Alfred Tennyson. The title of that poem is Ulysses. In fact, they may very well be the same persona, just as Tennyson's Ulysses echoes the earlier Ulysses. Tambo's Ulysses to the Merlion echoes Tennyson through the similar use of unequal and race in close proximity. In Tennyson's Ulysses, in Alfred Tennyson's Ulysses, this Ulysses has that striving to travel, again go in search of adventure, even though he has reached old age. So that continuous search for new things is there in Tennyson's poem.